Man, if you have ever run a business without documented systems and processes, um, you are definitely not experiencing, or you're really not living if you haven't ever gone through that. And I have gone for that. Before we met with you, Clay, we were doing that exact thing. We had all these things in our head. We kind of knew what was going on, but there was always a problem. And once we got to where we started like literally writing everything out, doing the checklist, making sure everybody knew how to do them, making sure that there's processes for every single thing that we do, from answering the phone to cleaning a window to pressure washing a house to installing holiday lights or cleaning out a gutter. Man, once we did all that and then started utilizing those checklists in conjunction with training our employees and teaching them how their specific job was or is supposed to be done, and they're using those checklists and they're understanding what the process is, and they understand that, hey, this is what the whole system looks like and how you're just one cog in this wheel, and it's super important. Man, when we did that, it was a game changer. I mean, it really, really, really increased revenue, increased efficiency, and it took a load off of my shoulders and my manager's shoulders because we just weren't running around anymore with our hair on fire.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. Two men, 8 kids, co-created by two different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrivetime Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go! Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we have the incredible opportunity to interview this celebrity chef whose soup I bought for my wife last week, the tomato basil, Mr. Wolfgang Puck. How are you, sir?
Excellent, thank you.
Wolfgang, I'm not sure how much money you make per can of soup, but I bought 2 cans of soup last week. It had nothing to do with interviewing you. I just buy 2 cans of your soup every week for my incredible
thank
wife.
you.
So
now I can keep my kids in school for the whole year.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, you have had so much success, but I'd like to start off at the bottom and the very beginning of your career, and I want to talk about your mother. Your mother was also a chef, and I'd love for you to share about her love of cooking and how that influenced you and now your love of cooking.
You know, my mother was an incredible person first, a great mother and everything. The only mistake she did in her life is marry my stepfather. You know, I don't even want to get into that. The stepfather was like a terrorist for us, for the family, and drunk and this and that. But my mother was like a saint. Now, every summer when I was like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, I spent time with her in the kitchen in a resort hotel on a lake in Carinthia, where she used to work. And that's how I got interested already first in pastries. You know, if you're 10, 12 years old, anything sweet, if it's ice cream and chocolate cake, whatever it is, you know, you get a little wedge of it and you are happy.
Right.
So every time I did that, and then I used to help her bake cakes at home and things like that too. So I got interested fairly early on, and became friendly with some of the male chefs in the hotel where my mother worked, and little by little I became 14 years old, and then I had to decide what to do, to go to school, a tech school or whatever it would be. I wanted to be an architect, but they only had one school in Vienna. So then I talked to my mom and said, maybe I'm going to become a cook or a pastry cook. And then she had her boss found me a job in Villach at the Post Hotel. And that's where I started at 14. I left my home gladly because of my stepfather. And I started to cook professionally at 14.
So if you're out there and you're feeling sorry for yourself that you had to start working at 18 or 19 or 20. I mean, I worked at Target and Applebee's and DirecTV all at the same time. I was working 60 hours a week on a slow week, 90 hours a week on an average week. If you feel overworked because you have to work as a young guy. I have a motivational quote for you from the incredible American philosopher, Adam Sandler.
Shut up!
I'd love for you to share with the listeners out there. We have so many Americans that listen to the show, and they're not familiar with your culture. Why at the age of 14 did you have to choose a profession or a technical school? Can you walk us through your culture you grew up in and why you had to make a decision so young?
I come from Austria in the southern part, really in the countryside totally. You know, there were only 11 houses, 2 farmers and a few houses. There was no street name, no asphalt on the streets, only dirt roads and everything. If we wanted strawberries or mushrooms, we went up in the forest and picked them in the summer. In the winter, we skied. So it was really in rural Austria. We had no running water, no central air or anything like that. The toilet was 100 meters outside in the garden, in the end of the garden. So I grew up fairly, modest, I would say. We had meat once a week, generally on Sundays. And then the rest, my grandmother and my mother were really good cooks. They cooked a lot of sweets, like a dish called Palatschinken or Kaiserschmarrn or Grießschmarrn, all these famous Austrian hard pastries. And I think Sundays we had Wiener Schnitzel or fried chicken. That was our big splurge, And I think I got lucky because it was all farm to table, really. When my mother made vegetable soup, she went in the garden, picked up a leek, had 2 potatoes, some carrots, a little cauliflower, maybe beans or peas, chopped them up, cooked them, and you say, oh my God, that tastes so delicious. And even today still, or when I used to go when she was alive, I always told her, Mom, make your vegetable soup. And I went in the summer right from the garden. And, she made it. And I said, oh, it reminds me of my childhood.
So your mom was the queen of organic farm-to-table food before it was a thing. Before it was a category, your mom may have been the innovator of farm-to-table. Now, when you were 17,
totally.
When you were 17, I understand that you decided to leave and you went to France where you stayed for 7 years.
Exactly.
What motivated you to move to France and stay there for 7 years?
Well, we had a restaurant from Dijon called Thrivetime. They came to cook in our hotel for a week and cook the specialty of Burgundy. So in Burgundy, the famous thing is snails, with the garlic butter.
Oof.
And they brought the shells with it, and I looked at it, oh, shit. Yeah, the snails are in the shells. I see them in the garden sometimes when it's raining, and where my parents lived, and they're eating that. And they were making pate, and they were cooking with a lot of wine, like they make this beef stew with red wine, and I don't know how many bottles they used and everything. So I thought, this is really exciting, the way they cook. So I said, I want to go to France. So I wrote them a letter, and they accepted me as a stagiaire, and I started to work there. And then after 1 year, we got a star in the Guide Michelin, and I looked through the guide, and there were 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star restaurants. So I said, I'm not going home to Austria. I want to work in a 3-star restaurant. And the first restaurant who said yes was Beaumanière, Raymond Tullier at Beaumanière. And I think that was my luck, really, because up to then, I wasn't even sure if I'm going to stay as a cook. I liked it, but I wasn't really passionate about it. So, but when I saw Tullier at Beaumanière, he was the chef and owner. The passion he had for the ingredients, the passion he had for cooking, I said, I want to be like these guys. And I still remember, looking on the terrace, and Queen Elizabeth had a lunch there. Or he brought Pablo Picasso into the kitchen. And I said, you know what? This is what I want to do. On top of it, he had 3 stars and cooked amazing food.
You are a guy who, I know the listeners out there are listening today, they're taking notes. Can you give us the recipe? How many bottles of wine do you have to consume before snails become appealing?
You know what? It depends where you grow up, probably. It's like people eat duck feet or eat the eyes of the fish or eat the
duck
brain.
Feet.
So it really depends how you grow up. You look at the Chinese, they eat everything possible.
Wolfgang, you said duck feet. Did you say duck feet?
Yeah.
Wow. That is...
You cook them. You obviously you clean them of all the outer shells really well, and then you cook them in a good sauce until they get really gelatinous. Obviously, before you cook them, you cut off the nails and everything so it looks better. You don't want dirty nails in there. And then you eat them and you say, "Oh my God, this is really delicious."
Oh, okay. Now, you. My understanding is that you started hearing about Cadillacs, Chevrolets, American movies, and then you got inspired to move to the United States. Do you remember that moment when you thought, "Okay, I'm going to go to the United States of America"?
You know, as kids in Austria, we watched cowboy movies, and we watched these movies, I think, about the car chases in San Francisco and everything, and that was amazing. And then the pastry chef, I was working at Maxime's in Paris, at the beginning when I just started there, and he just came back from Chicago. Maxime's had opened an outpost in Chicago, and he told me, "You know what, you're young, you should go to America, you make so much more money, and it's amazing, and this and that." And he walked me into it, and then by accident, a year later, a guy came to me, his name is Jean Denoyer from New York, and he needed a chef, and we had the same friend. He lived in New York already, but he had a friend in Paris who was also my friend, and they talked and said, "You know what, I have this young Austrian who wants to go to America. Let's talk to him." And so they talked to me, and I got all excited and came to New York.
So what was the first job that you landed in New York?
So my friend Jean Denoyer, who's my friend now, brought me over to be a chef in his restaurant in New York called La Goulue. They have a few different versions of it. They just opened a new one, I think, on 61st Street and Madison. But at that time, it was 70th Street and Madison. And I walked into the restaurant and I said, "This is not the cooking I want to do." They had like this bistro, you know, like where they had steak frit and just simple dishes, you know, good dishes maybe, but simple. But I cooked in 3-star restaurants like Beaumanière or Maxime's or Hotel de Paris in Monaco and so forth. So I said, "Nah, I don't want to cook here." And then a friend of mine who owned La Goulue, La Grenouille in New York, Charles Mazon, I went to see him. I knew him from Paris. I went to see him. Maybe he had a job. And he says, "You know, I don't have a job right now, but let me call my friend in Chicago." He called his friend in Chicago, and they said, "We need a chef in Indianapolis." And I said, "Indianapolis?" My eyes lit up because I know of the 500-mile race they have there every May.
Right.
And then I said, "You know, I want to go because Indianapolis," I lived in Monaco. You know, I said, in Monaco, they have a big outdoor race. And I said, "Oh, that would be probably similar to Monaco." So I took the Greyhound bus with the last $100 I had left and took the bus from New York to Indianapolis, which took like, I think, a day and a half or something to get there. And I got there and I said, "Oh, this is Indianapolis. Nothing like Monaco." But I had no more money. And I got the job there as a chef in a French restaurant.
Now, who first inspired you, or what first inspired you to become a restaurant owner?
When I came from Indianapolis to LA, and I worked in a restaurant called Ma Maison. Ma Maison at that time did like $20,000 a month in business. I mean, that was in the 70s.
Wow.
And little by little, we went to 50,000. A year later to 100,000 a month. That was the total revenue a month.
Wow.
And then we grew and grew and grew. But Patrick, who was the owner then, still didn't trust me really. He still had to manage or sign the checks when he wasn't there and everything. Even I was a part owner too. They didn't have the money to pay me, so he gave me like 8 or 10% of the restaurant. And you know that at that time was 8 or 10% of nothing really, because we didn't make any money. Everything was on COD. You know, when I went to the fish market, I bought the lobster shells to make lobster soup. And some famous restaurant here called Scandia, they bought the lobster meat to make lobster cocktails. So we had no money, but I became successful with the restaurant. People loved the food. It became one of the most talked about restaurants. I remember having Orson Welles come every day for lunch, and I used to sit and talk to him. even wrote a little introduction for my cookbook. So we became very friendly with a lot of other people too, like Billy Wilder, the Austrian movie director and writer, and with Chuck Lemmon and Susan Blanchett and Bob Newhart. So they all used to come like 2-3 times a week to my maison. But Patrick didn't really trust me. And then I said, I have to do my own restaurant. I want to be in charge. I don't want to ask somebody for a raise. I want to decide what I'm going to cook. Even I did that there anyway. But if I wanted more money, if I wanted to change the plates, anything like that, I had to ask him because he signed the check. So I said, I want to sign the checks. I want to be the one in charge. And then in 1981, I found this space on Sunset Boulevard. And in 1982, in January 16th, I opened Spago. And the rest is history.
My friend, how did you first get the money needed to open your restaurant, and how did you market Spago?
Okay, so I had a cooking school called Ma Cuisine, and I had a lot of lawyers, I had dentists and some shrinks and everything who used to come to my cooking classes because I made it participation. So they all were working, drinking, and I always had a case of wine there too, so I had like 18 people in my cooking class. And one day, I announced that I want to open my own restaurant, but I don't have the money. So I drew up a business plan with the lawyer and said, okay, we're going to get investors. We need $500,000. And hopefully we have the space on Sunset Boulevard, and hopefully we can raise the money. So we raised the money. I went to the bank and I got $60,000. And we put together then, I think, like $550,000. And then I took the place, signed the lease, and built the restaurant. And the funny thing is, when I left my maison, Patrick told me, you will be back crying for your job. You had a good job here, but you're leaving this and that. I said, well, I'm not coming back. And as a matter of fact, so we opened in January Spago. It was a whole new way of the restaurant, new style of the restaurant with an open kitchen. We had a wood-burning pizza oven, a wood-burning grill. Now it seems like every restaurant has to have that, but at that time it was nothing in LA like that or in California. So
we talk about this often, but probably not enough. If you're going to open up a restaurant or any kind of business at all, you must be remarkable. And Wolfgang Puck just explained to you how his first restaurant, Spago, was different than the other restaurants of its time. It had an open kitchen where nobody else did. It had an open wood-burning stove, and nobody else did. It was just a different kind of restaurant. And if you're out there in this cluttered world of commerce and capitalism, and you want to get in front of your ideal and likely buyers and be successful, you're going to have to be remarkable. But one of the byproducts of being remarkable is that nobody ever receives unanimous praise, ever. It doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States. If you are the president of the United States and you are President Obama, nobody receives unanimous praise. Even President Obama, who had a very high favorability score at one point, would only be approved by 58% of Americans, 57% of Americans. Even President Ronald Reagan, who was loved by Americans for a while there, his approval rating isn't going to go north of 60%, 65%. Nobody receives unanimous praise ever. And you cannot afford to die the death of 1,000 compromises with your business. You must absolutely fight for that purple cow that's going to differentiate your business and make you stand out. Because if you are not memorable, you are forgettable in this cluttered world of commerce and capitalism. And now back to our interview with Wolfgang Puck.
We opened a restaurant, and it became this immediate success, bigger than I ever thought. I wanted to have a little neighborhood restaurant, but it became huge. And I think it was the hardest thing. Every morning I went to the fish market. I went to a farm down in Rancho Santa Fe, the Chino farm, picking up vegetables. So we used really basic food and didn't make it complicated, but we just used the best ingredients. And I remember I had customers like Johnny Carson. We made pizzas at that time. So we made the smoked salmon pizza, duck sausage pizza, and things like that. And Johnny every Friday used to come and take 10 pizzas home. And I said to him, "Oh, Johnny, what are you doing with 10 pizzas? You have a party?" He said, "No, I put them in my freezer. And then when I play cards with my friends, my housekeeper makes me a pizza, and it's just as good as yours." He said, so I said, "Oh, that's not possible." And that's actually how I started my frozen pizza company, because he said he can cook them as well. So it ended up in another business.
So Johnny Carson is the inspiration for your frozen pizza collection.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we don't skip over some powerful knowledge bombs that Wolfgang Puck is breaking down. One, he talked about every morning he would go out and pick out fresh vegetables and fresh produce and fresh meat. Every day he would pick out the freshest ingredients every day. And as you listen to this interview, think about how hard Wolfgang Puck was working at the time. You see, success is built as a result of daily diligence that is implemented over the design of a decade or over 5 years. It's not about being diligent one time. It's not about being highly motivated for one day or having that one big idea. It's about being consistent. The diligence is the difference maker. Diligence means the steady application of effort, and the diligent people always win. Now, I want to tee up this particular portion of the interview. I want to make sure you're not skipping over this part. He said that Johnny Carson and others would basically buy pizzas from him and bring them home and put it in their freezers and then reheat them later. And he noticed that people were doing this, and then that became a product. You see, products just solve problems for your ideal and likely buyers at a profit. Again, entrepreneurs, they simply entrepreneurs, business people, successful business entrepreneurs. All they're doing is finding a problem that is being experienced by many of their ideal and likely buyers, and then they solve that problem at a profit. It is so important that you learn the process of finding a need and filling it. And every entrepreneur I've ever met who's super successful, they have this ability to see the problem that the customer is expressing or speaking about that nobody else really sees. They seem to be able to see the problem that Johnny Carson had. Johnny Carson wanted to have Wolfgang Puck's frozen pizza, but the market didn't, the product didn't exist yet to fill that market need. And so Wolfgang, after he saw this, Johnny Carson routinely buying his pizzas and freezing them, he realized, wow, that's a problem that the market has, and I'm going to fill it. I'm going to find a need and fill it. And that right there is why I'm so fired up about Wolfgang Puck. Grab a pen and a pad, and let's get back into the lab as we interview Wolfgang Puck. Your life is a fascinating one, and I don't expect you to do a bunch of research on me, but I did a bunch of research on you. And I grew up poor. It sounds like you grew up with very humble beginnings. I don't know what it's like to not be on my feet and to work, 12 hours a day. I don't understand that. I've never had a 9-to-5 job where I take a break. I started my first business when I was 16 in my parents' basement. I've been self-employed for a long time. Can I ask you, how many hours a week were you working when you launched Spago?
Well, let me just tell you how I started. When I interviewed somebody for a job, they asked me how many hours they work. I told them 12 hours is only half a day. If you want to work half a day, it's fine. So people looked at me and said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, isn't 12 hours half a day?" And they said, "Yeah." So I said, "Well, you can work half a day or you can work more." And, obviously I paid them and everything. But
yeah.
So we or myself, or for sure, never counted their hours.
Can you just for the benefit of our listeners, there's about 500,000 people that just want to know, what time were you waking up when you were launching Spago? Were you waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning?
I used to go at 6:30 in the morning. So I woke up at 6:30 in the morning. I used to go to the fish market downtown.
Yeah.
Pick up the fish and then come back to the restaurant. Maybe by 9 or so, have a coffee, maybe go home, take a shower. I didn't live too far away. And then went back, talked with Mark Deal and Nancy Silverton, who were the chef and the pastry chef, what we're going to do that day. We looked at the fish I bought and everything. And then worked and finished the last customer maybe at midnight, 12:30. And often I used to sit at the end of the night and looking out the window, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to run this restaurant. You know, people want to come. I tell them, come at 10:30. They said, okay, we come at 10:30. So we were cooking from 6, like the service was from 6 until 12:30 at night. Like
And Wolfgang, was that 7 days a
behind
week?
the grill and everything. It was really like crazy. I never thought we're going to be that busy. And I remember the second month we were open, we were positive. We made money.
Were you open 7 days a week?
Yeah.
Well, I know you've never
I
counted
think
the hours, but I'm going to help you here because this is. I know you don't. I want the listeners out there to know. It sounds like you're working at least 18 hours a day, and 7 days a week. So you probably logged 126 hours a week. I think that's a fair estimate. 120. So that is that is awesome, and that is so encouraging for somebody out there who feels like, man, I'm working so hard. Because now people look at you and say, wow, but a lot of people don't want to focus on the grind and the energy and the effort you put in all those years to build this thing. Can you comment on, there was Japanese investors that reached out to you to open a Spago in Tokyo. And if I get the story correct, I think they said, we would love to open up a Spago in Tokyo. We'd love for you to help us. But if not, we'll just open it on our own. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
As you begin to scale your business, somebody is going to want to copy your business plan and your systems exactly. It's going to happen, so just go ahead and emotionally prepare yourself.
So what happened is these Japanese people came over, and because we got so much press so fast, the whole new sensation and open kitchen, nobody had the white tablecloth restaurant with the kitchen open, and it was like a theater stage and everything. So when they came over and they wanted to do a restaurant, and at first I said, no, forget it. I barely can run one restaurant. How can a run a restaurant in Tokyo so far away? So they came back maybe 3 or 4 months later, and with the plans, with the kitchen layout, exactly what I had and everything. As a matter of fact, it was funny because just like Spago, it was up the hill a little bit from Sunset. They found the thing on the second floor of a little building where you had to go up some steps. And they lined the kitchen up with the pizza oven, with the pasta cooker, with everything, the cold station, exactly like I had it. They took pictures of the furniture. They knew where to get the chairs, where to get everything.
If you are an entrepreneur, I'm telling you, trust nobody. You have so many competitors out there that are looking just to copy your stuff. They're going to want to copy all your business cards, your print pieces, your strategies, your processes, every checklist. People are going to want to copy it. So once you begin to nail down your business model and the systems that work, now you want to look at copywriting and trademarking the things you've worked so hard to build and test in this marketplace. Again, get out there, try to sell it. Get it in front of the marketplace. Don't listen to what people say about your product, but look at whether people buy your product. Don't sit there and run your product idea by a bunch of your good buddies and they all say, yeah, I'm definitely going to buy it. Go out there and actually market the product and see how many people buy the product. And then when people don't buy the product, ask them what you could do to improve that product or service or restaurant or business. And then once you get that business model refined, that product refined, once you create something that the world likes and the world wants to buy, it is absolutely vital as soon as possible, once you nail it down and before you scale it, that you take the time to trademark and copyright the core aspects of your business model that make it unique.
So they basically told me that, and I didn't copyright the name Spago or anything like that. So they told me, we're going to open Spago with you or without you. So I said, okay, let's open it with me. So they gave me 1/3 of the business. And then we went, and the year after, in '83, in April, we opened Spago in Tokyo, which was a trip. And I took the pastry chef with me, and I took a chef with me, and a manager with me, and they all stayed there. I stayed there maybe 2 weeks, and it was an experience for me, I must say. You know what? I never thought that after a year, I'm going to open my second restaurant so far away. And then 6 months later, in September, I opened a restaurant in Santa Monica called Chinois. which was my version of a Chinese restaurant. And that came like by accident. So somebody owned this little building there. And they said, oh, Wolfgang, we want a Spago in Santa Monica, which is like 12 miles from the original Spago. And I said, no, I don't want to do another Spago. It's too boring doing the same thing. And they said, so what do you want to do? I said, I want to do a Chinese restaurant. So then the guy said, okay, whatever you do, I'm sure it will be good. So we opened this Chinese restaurant, but I didn't know about Chinese food. I never cooked Chinese food. I never cooked in a wok. So I said, okay, I want to do my style of Chinese food. And it really became this sensation. And even yesterday, it was Chinese New Year. We celebrated at Chinois. A group of Chinese people who came from China and ate the food. And the first thing they said, we never had Chinese New Year. We never had a menu like that in Beijing. They were from Beijing. They said, we're going to come now for every Chinese New Year celebration you have. So even the Chinese said, you know what, this is really interesting. Now, some local Chinese restaurants didn't like it because we were packed. You had to reserve 2 weeks ahead of time. And their restaurant was maybe half empty, and it was different. And they said, that's a Caucasian cooking Chinese food. How can that happen? So
Right.
Some controversy with it.
I'm going to keep harping on this idea because it is so important that somebody out there gets this idea today. Seth Godin, the best-selling author of The Purple Cow, Transform Your Business by Being Remarkable, writes, if you're remarkable, it's likely that some people won't like you. That's part of the definition of remarkable. Nobody gets unanimous praise ever. The best the timid can hope for is to be unnoticed. Criticism comes to those who stand out. Wolfgang was out there in the marketplace generating a buzz. He's out there creating Chinese food, but yet he's a Caucasian guy. And you know what happened? Certain people got upset with him. And you know what's going to happen to you? Certain people are going to get upset with you because if you are remarkable, somebody won't like it. Just read my iTunes reviews to see. Nobody ever receives unanimous praise. It doesn't matter how hard I work on this podcast. It doesn't matter how hard you work on your business. It doesn't matter what I say on this show or what I don't say on this show. It doesn't matter what you do in your business or what you don't do. Even if you do everything perfectly to the absolute best of your ability, you will receive criticism because the best the timid can hope for is to be unnoticed. Criticism comes to those who stand out. You don't look Chinese to me. Do you have any Chinese ancestry at all there, Wolfgang? Because you make some incredible Chinese food.
Yeah, I tell everybody I'm part Chinese. My mother was Chinese, half Chinese, so it's just a dead joke. But no, but I think today, you look in America, doesn't matter if you are from Africa or if you are from England or wherever you are from, you can cook great food as long as you love food and as long as you have passion.
Now, we interviewed recently a man by the name of Shep Gordon, a man who I know you know very well. Could you talk to me about your relationship with Shep and the role he played in helping you to become the celebrity chef that you are today?
It's so interesting because when I know Shep Gordon for many years, through music theater to George Thrive, who passed away already. So when Shep was in LA and he produced movies, he was in the record business with Alice Cooper and all these guys. So, and we became very friendly because he liked food. I became friends with anybody who likes food, like that was Awesome World. And then I said Shep Gordon. So one time we were with Shep. He came to us. We did the whole thing in Hawaii. I think it was on a big island of Hawaii, like a chef's thing, like what's called the bounty of Hawaii. So we had different chefs from all over the country, a little bit like Paul Prudhomme, Alice Waters, Jonathan Waxman, I don't know, maybe a few more. And we were like the main singers. So then, when it was over, the next day, we were all sitting there for lunch, and I had my chef from Postrio, Mitch Rosenthal, make lunch for us, and then they gave us a bill. I was polite because we had some salads, but he actually went and made the food. And then they gave us the bill, and he said, what is wrong with this picture here? You guys work here? He said, did they pay you? I said, no. They gave us a free room and paid for the trip. He said, yeah, but they charge every customer, and now they even charge you. So he said, you guys have an agent? I said, no. And he said, maybe we have to get and plan it better. So I called my friends. I called Paul and Alice and Emerald and Jonathan and I don't know how many we are, maybe 8 or 10 chefs, Mark Miller and Larry Forgione. And so then we all sat together in a restaurant in San Francisco and decided he should become our agent. Now, at that time, I started to get really busy already. So what a chef really did a lot then for Emerald, for Dean Faring. I was so busy already because I owned all these restaurants already by then. I did consulting for an airline. I did consulting for the mansion in Dallas, for the Hana Ranch in Maui, for the Remington in Houston. So I didn't need really chefs to do work for me because I couldn't go and cook in New Orleans or in Dallas or whatever and get $5,000 a day, which at that time for us was a lot of money. But he helped a lot all these other guys who did not have TV experience. Like I did the Johnny Carson show and David Letterman show and Good Morning America from 86 on. So I was already on TV at that time. There were no chef really was on TV as much as I was. But, he helped a lot of other chefs and he did a great job with them. And we are still great friends. Now, did he influence my career? He did. Why? And what was really positive, he said, don't sell yourself cheap. So charge enough money.
Now, your food, your name, your brand is synonymous with cuisine, with gourmet, with a celebrity chef. Why have you decided to put your name on all of your products? A lot of people, pull back from that. Why have you decided to put your name on all of the products?
Curiosity. I am very curious about doing all different things. So in the 80s, a friend of mine told me, okay, we don't have any good soups there. You have Campbell soup and Progresso, but they are not really quality. Why don't you devise recipes and make soup? So we went then and made a really delicious soup, just like we made it in the restaurant. Now we had to put it in canned soup, but at least the ingredients were good. Like at that time when you tasted like my French onion soup and their French onion soup of the other companies, it was like day and night. So that became pretty successful too then. So I was always interested in different things. So then I remember Lou Waterman came up to me and says that they built the Universal City Walk and says, Wolfgang, why you don't build a Spago up there? We really need a restaurant. I said, City Walk is a tourist area there. People don't want to spend that money and spend that much time. They come and visit the Universal Film Studios. So that's when I started the first cafe. And now we have cafes like that in airports around the world and in Disney World and places like that. So I think for me, when there's something new, I really love it. And then years later, in the 90s, I was friendly with George Foreman. And George Foreman and a friend of mine made up this grill, the Foreman Grill, which became a sensation and hugely successful. And then the guy who worked with George told me and said, Wolfgang, why you don't do something like that? I said, well, okay. And then we started to make pots and pans. We tried to sell them on QVC. I didn't know how to sell them or whatever. And, I think they were way too expensive and whatever. So then we sold them off at HSN. And then I talked to the people at HSN and we made a cheaper version of that. Still good quality, but not as expensive, not as thick, the iron and everything. So then that became a really good business all of a sudden. So I stayed with it and I'm still there for over 20 years now. So why do I do it? Sometimes I ask myself, why do you do all that stuff? Like 2 years ago, there was a journal did an article about me, and then they asked Mr. Wolfgang, you do all these things, and what is your dream? What you're still thinking of? And I said, my dream would be to go to Harvard. I never went to high school. I never went to college or anything. Sure enough, a few days later, the dean of Harvard Business School calls and says, Wolfgang, I have the perfect thing for you. It's called OPM, Owner President's Management. It's about 3 months long, not in one course. It's 3 times a month. you should try to do that if you really want to go, if that is really your dream.
Wow.
So what did I do? I enrolled at Harvard. So I have 1 more month to go. So in March, end of March, I'm going to graduate.
Well, congratulations. That's exciting, my friend.
I know. So I said, who would have known when I come from this little village in Austria, where the school had 2 rooms only, 2 classrooms, and now I went to Harvard. It's like, to me, it is like a dream. Sometimes when I say, is it really true? That's funny. But what it is really is my curiosity, I think. I'm interested in so many different things. I'm curious with so many different things. So that's why I do so many things. And sometimes Galila, my wife, tells me, when are you going to rest? When are you going to be? You're not so young anymore. You think you're young, but you're not that young anymore. Why you don't just relax and don't do all that stuff? I say, well, but I like it. So,
My friends, you see, Wolfgang Puck isn't in a rush to retire because he loves what he does. And I'll never forget, years ago, I was reading a book called Life and Death, which is written by Russell Simmons. And Russell Simmons is the legendary legendary co-founder of a company called Def Jam. They introduced the world to the Beastie Boys, to LL Cool J, to Jay-Z, and other massive hip-hop artists. He essentially is known as like the father of hip-hop. He also launched the Def Comedy Jam, and he was the founder of the Fat Farm clothing and apparel line. But he says the goal is to be able to live your life the way that Michael Jordan played basketball, or Marvin Gaye sang a song. To be able to feel the way you feel when you laugh at a joke, but to feel that way all the time. Wow. What would it be like if you could build a business that would allow you the time freedom and financial freedom to do whatever you wanted to do on a daily basis, to pursue your goals for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun? What would it be like if you could do that? Because once you get to a place in life where every day is a perfect day that has been perfectly designed by you, it is so exciting. Yeah, there will be some interruptions and a few frustrations along the way, but that is infinitely exciting for me. And I can honestly tell you, that's what I love about doing this show, is because I know that every time I interview these guests, this is what the Lord wants me to do. I'm doing what I'm called to do. I'm helping great people like you, and I know that you're going to find that business model that's going to create that time and financial freedom for you as well. Now back to our interview with Wolfgang Puck.
I am 69.
Well, you look like you're probably 34. Now, if I had to guess, you're probably eating all that organic stuff your mom taught you about as a kid. That's probably what's going on right there. Now, I want to ask you this because there's so many listeners that are just infinitely curious about this. How do you organize the first 4 hours of your day, and what time do you typically wake up?
So I get up like at 6 in the morning. At 6:30, I wake up my son, Oliver, and then, I read the paper a little bit. I wake him up. And then we have a trainer who comes, and he exercises with me in the morning, or sometimes he doesn't exercise when he has to go to school or whatever. But the school he goes to is 5 minutes away, so it makes it really easy. So then after that, I take a shower, get ready, and then I look what are my appointments for today, which I have to keep, So, and then by 9 o'clock, I leave the house and I go or to Spargo or to the Bel Air Hotel or to Cat the Beverly Hills and look what's going on there. Now, on Wednesdays, I might go in the morning early, like right after the exercise at 7:30. I go to the farmer's market in Santa Monica. Sometimes I go downtown also to the fish market still. I don't have to, but I like it. So, and then at 12 o'clock, generally I go to Spargo because we have lunch, or the Bel Air Hotel, we have lunch. But then 2 hours there. Then I come here to my office and look through all the things I have to do and, plan new restaurants and do all that stuff. And then at 6 o'clock, and sometimes at 4:30, I go and play tennis for an hour. Especially if I'm stressed about something, tennis is good because I can hit the ball as hard as I want to.
Right.
He doesn't talk back. Yeah. So then I go do that. And then around 6:37, I have dinner with my wife, Galila, and my two boys, Alexander, Oliver, and right now Byron also, who is, training to be a chef and restaurateur too. And then I go back to the restaurant maybe for 2 hours. Like last night, I was down at Chicago for Chinese New Year, and I sat with Gwyneth Paltrow for a while, and with Dr. Alatraj, who is the doctor for the Rams, and we talked about the Super Bowl, and walked in the kitchen and talked to Chef Rene for a while. And then at 11 o'clock, I drove home.
So you went home at 11 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
Now, you are a guy who, you're involved in a lot of things. You got your own brands of food. You have books you've written. You have restaurants you run.
Yeah.
How many different businesses, and maybe you don't even know the exact answer, but how many different businesses are you involved in right now, or different locations? How many different businesses?
Okay. To make it simpler for you, we have really 3 divisions in our business, or I have 3 divisions in my business. One is called fine dining. Where all the restaurants, we have 27 restaurants around the world, like we are in LA, Las Vegas, Dallas, Chicago, Dallas, New York, Detroit, Washington, Orlando, London, Istanbul, Singapore, Bahrain, Qatar, and so forth, Maui. So we have 27 of them, and 2 more in the building process, one in Washington, D.C., a cut, and then one in Los Angeles here at the Pantry Hotel that we're going to run the whole food service. So we're working on that right now. And then the most exciting part is going to be, but it's a few years away, we are working with Frank Gehry to open a restaurant on the beach here in LA. So that's going to be a big project, and but it's a few years away.
Now, I want to ask you about I have two final questions for you. You have this restaurant in New York that you've launched. Tell us about this newest venture and what it's like, and why all the listeners should go check it out.
Yeah. Now, you know what? Cut in New York at the Four Seasons Hotel downtown is really a jewel in a way. It is a steak restaurant, a steakhouse restaurant, but with a lot of different options. If you're a vegan, you can go there and have the most exciting vegan meal. Like I was there and I had a risotto with celery and black truffle. I said, you know what? I don't need meat if I have a dish like that. But we also have Tebow, which is my favorite fish. We also have black bass, which is great, and lobster. And then we have meats from all over a little bit, but also a lot of local ingredients. We use local beef and local lamb from New York State, actually. And from Pennsylvania, we get the duck and chicken. So it's really locally oriented. And it was designed by Jacques Garcia, who is really an amazing designer. So you can come to the bar and have little snacks at the bar, from the mini burgers to a steak tartare or some Asian influenced dishes. And we have little biscuits, like a Southerners biscuits with caviar and smoked salmon. So you can have that, or you go to the restaurant, and there you have great appetizers, great raw fish dishes and things like that, salads. And then if you love steak, like one of my favorite one is the double New York steak, cooked on the bone. And I cook it like medium rare and cook the bone really well done, so it gets really hot inside too. And then just keep it simple, put a little sea salt on top and maybe a little sauce from my French fries, because I love French fries and onion rings. And then for dessert, I love pies. One of the great legends in America is all these different pies. If it's a pecan pie or a key lime pie or a banana cream pie or a raspberry or blackberry pie or blueberry pie. So I'm bringing this whole new idea of modernizing it and bring it there so people can have a great steak and maybe a blueberry pie with some blueberry ice cream for dessert, or maybe a pecan pie. So for me, it's really exciting also to reinvent the old school dishes and make them new again.
Wolfgang, my
so
final...
I think if you go to Cut, I think you can come to the bar, just hang out at the bar, have a drink, and have some bar snacks, but really good, interesting one. Like right now, we have a great sourdough bread there, and we make a grilled cheese sandwich with black truffles. And you know what? People say, I'm just going to have a dinner with that, have a glass or 2 glasses of red wine, and have that's for dinner. You know, the grilled cheese sandwich with black truffles. Or people don't want truffles, we make it without the truffles. But I think it's really simple and really, really tasty.
Now, for the listeners out there that are taking notes, where's this located again? You said it's in the Four Seasons?
In the Four Seasons Hotel downtown on Church Street.
Okay. Now, my final question for you. Listeners out there who won't get a chance to talk to you one-on-one, if you're sitting down there with a young entrepreneur today and they're asking you for, Wolfgang, what's the one piece of advice? What's the one, if you could give me just one piece of the golden keys to the universe, talk to me. What's the advice you would give all the entrepreneurs out there?
Well, I really believe, if you are passionate about whatever you do, if it's in the food business, in the tech business, I think you have to follow your dreams and don't take no for an answer. There are so many naysayers out there who said you won't be successful. And like when I told people, 38 years ago, that I'm going to make pizza. They said, Wolfgang, you're crazy. Nobody's going to come to your restaurant and eat pizza. And then we invented a new style of pizza, and it became all the rage. And, it's spawned up hundreds of restaurants where they make different pizzas. So don't take no for an answer, but also be patient. A lot of people think success is overnight. Success is like walking up steps into a big building, It's one step at a time, and I think that's really important. But I tell all the young chefs especially, too, to be patient. Go to work in good restaurant. Make the mistakes there. Learn there. And then, if you're ready, you say, okay, I know cooking is an important part of the restaurant business, but you have to manage a lot of people. You won't have to make money because if not, you won't stay in business. So it's a lot of components, to run a restaurant or any business.
Wolfgang, it is an honor to have you on the show. Hopefully this is not the worst interview you've ever been on. I thank you so much, my friend.
Never. You know what? I really think for me, if I can inspire some young people and tell them, you know what? I started with nothing. I had not a penny left when I went to Indianapolis. I had to stay in a motel. I couldn't check out. I had no money to pay for it. But I think at the end of the day, if you work hard, and you think for yourself, 12 hours is only half a day. I guarantee you, if you're patient, you have passion, you will be successful.
Wolfgang, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
I know I'm getting ready for the Oscars almost. So.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you take care, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. So if you've been listening to today's show, there's a lot you can unpack. There's a lot of specific steps that Wolfgang taught, but I just want to kind of recap a few of the knowledge bombs that I think that every listener out there should be very aware of. 1, Wolfgang Puck was willing to work 7 days a week to make his dreams happen. I'm not saying you should work 7 days a week, but I think you should ask the question to yourself rhetorically, how many hours per week am I actually willing to work to turn my goals and dreams into reality? Because Wolfgang Puck was willing to work 7 days a week. Maybe you want to work 5 days a week or 6 days a week, but you have to be intellectually honest about what you're asking for. If you want to be great, you've got to be willing to invest great amounts of hours. And if you want to be average, you got to put in average amount of hours. And that's just what's required to be successful. Second teaching point. Wolfgang Puck talked about this. He said that he went out there and borrowed, he raised money. He raised over $500,000 of investment capital to start his first restaurant after he'd been working for years for other people. And I would ask you this, what's your risk tolerance? Are you willing to raise $500,000 to start something you believe in? Or maybe $10,000 or $20,000 or $100,000. But you've got to be very self-aware about your risk tolerance and how much money you're willing to bet on your big idea. Knowledge bomb number 3, action item number 3 that I heard during today's show is Wolfgang created a purple cow. When Wolfgang created his first restaurant, Spago, he created a business that was very different from any other business. It was the only restaurant that he knew of with an open kitchen and a wood-fired oven. It was the first restaurant that did a lot of things differently than everybody else, and that's why he stood out. When he started his first Asian restaurant, he was a Caucasian guy starting an Asian restaurant. Again, these are purple cows. These are remarkable ideas, and that is why his businesses stood out in the cluttered world of commerce and capitalism. So I want you to ask yourself today, what are your goals for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun? What are your goals for your faith, family, finances, fitness, friendship, and fun? And what are you willing to give up in order to achieve those goals? And if you enjoyed today's show, I would encourage you to share today's show with a friend or a family member. You're listening to the Thrivetime Show on your radio and podcast download. And therefore, we end each and every show with a boom, because we believe that the big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum that Wolfgang Puck brought to his business on a daily basis is what you need to succeed. And so now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
I had on my original website, I had maybe 1 or 2 testimonial videos, but with your suggestion, we've got dozens and dozens on there now, and that just shows credibility of all the great things that we've done. Not to boast my toot my own horn and all that, but we are the #1 college planner in Arizona, if not the West Coast. So, and that's all due through the search engine optimization, the ad roll, and the video proof. All of those things are instrumental in helping our growth double and even triple. This last month, we've had the most incredible month that we've had, and that was August. And now September 2024, we're on track to doing the same revenue that we did last month, but probably even more than August. And that just trend seems to continue.
Well, folks, on today's show, we're interviewing somebody who provides a solution that I believe most of the people watching this show, you'll probably need at some point. This guy helps kids to earn more scholarship money, and he also happens to be a longtime client. JD, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic, Mr. Clay. How are you?
Brother, I'm excited to have you on the show, and so I've got a plethora of questions for you. First off, how do we properly pronounce your last name?
Wyzolek, JD Wyzolek.
How do you spell that for people out there? We got a lot of academics watching this show, and they're right now going, I don't know how to spell that.
Every other letter is silent. So it's W-Y, C as in cat, Z as in zebra, A-L-E-K, Wyzolek. Sounds just like it's spelled.
Now, how did you originally hear about us there, sir?
I went to one of your awakening tours in Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm like, kind of like, and what intrigued me was General Flynn and Eric Trump and some of the other guest speakers that you had there. And then like any stalker, I just started looking you up and found out you do all this other stuff on the side.
You know,
what's
interesting is that, whenever we do podcasts and broadcasts, I put these podcasts and broadcasts out kind of like messages in a bottle to help people. And I never know who we're going to help. And on part 2 of today's show, we have a listener that claims he's listened to our show for 9 years before he reached out and asked for help. And now we've helped him triple the size of his business in 12 months, but he had been listening for 9 years. And so I was just curious, what was kind of your tipping point where you thought, you know what, I'm going to go to thrivetimeshow.com and schedule a free consultation?
Well, I've been working with, I started the business in August of 2007. And when I launched the business, I had several coaches that helped me out with that. And eventually I just kind of grew out of their need. And probably in the last 2 or 3 years, I started figuring out, you know what, I probably need to get some additional coaching from some other different angle. And that's how I kind of stumbled on you. I did some research on what you did and attended one of your business conferences and decided, you know what, this is the right move. And I started, probably about a year or so ago.
Now, from a growth perspective, one of the things that I've been tracking on your particular, I call it a file or account or project or your business, is you guys have at azcollegeplanning.com, azcollegeplanning.com. You have a lot of value that you offer that was kind of hidden a little bit. You know, it's like a lot of value, and it makes a lot of sense to hire you if people get it.
Right.
But if they don't get it, it makes zero sense to hire you. So could you talk about some of the things that we've been able to work with you on to get that value more top of mind for your potential ideal and likely buyers?
Yeah, well, if you're interested in learning how to not go broke paying for college, then go to azcollegeplanning.com and fill out one of the contact forms, and I'll reach out to you and schedule a consultation and see how we can help you. And what I figured out, and I'm getting back to you in a roundabout way. What I figured out is that if there's an upward trend in any category that's ranked in the ranking system is extremely important to colleges. And you've probably seen a dozen different publications. This college is ranked number 1 in this category. This college is ranked number 12 in this category, etc. If there's any category that has an upward trend in the ranking system, that attracts attention, and more attention means more application and more application fees. So one of the things that we do is we show students and parents how to properly market themselves to the colleges so that college says, yes, we need you, we want you. And that's kind of what you're doing in a business sense, is showing businesses how to properly market themselves to gain clients and customers. And one of the areas that really helped is had always been using scripts. And with you and your team, we've recrafted the scripts to be even more powerful. And from that, we also did some optimization on the website. And now I'm getting at least 3 or 4 leads every week, which is great because, yeah, it's just great.
Now, I'm pulling this up because I want people to look at your website. You know, one of the things about a website, if you own a business, I want you to think about this. It has a purpose. Like, what's the function of it? You know, so let's do an example. Let me throw an extreme example, teaching moment for somebody out there. Paul Graham. Okay. Paul Graham is a person that nobody really knows about hardly, but he's one of the most successful people on the planet. You say, who? Paul Graham. Somebody out there right now, you're watching this, you're going, who is that? This is the guy credited to being one of the founders of the online shopping cart. Okay, so it was his idea via web, which was sold to Yahoo store and became the first online shopping platform. It is he who started Airbnb, Dropbox, Reddit. He's now credited, this is Paul Graham. So it says, who's this guy? Paul Graham, with having the most number of successful startups known to man, 1,300 of them, including Stripe. What? Yes. I mean, this guy, including Reddit, including the who? Paul Graham. You say, well, what's his website?
List.
Look at this website. This is his website. People say, why won't he update his website? Who built that website? What's wrong with this guy? Who built this website? And he's explained this during multiple interviews that his website does not exist for me or for anybody out there that thinks he should update it. It exists for Paul Graham. And Paul Graham made his website so he could write his essays. So you go to his website, everything he knows, he writes it out in an essay form, and he puts it on the internet, and he sees no need in updating it. This is the same guy, folks, who's behind Airbnb. Look at Airbnb. Looks like a beautiful website, state-of-the-art website, Airbnb. Wow, an incredible website. Look at Airbnb. Dropbox. Someone says Dropbox. Look at Dropbox. Look at Airbnb. These are sites. Sorry, it's loading slow here, folks. Dropbox, Reddit. These are big companies, huge companies, and these companies have beautiful sites. I'm not sure why this is loading slow here, but he doesn't feel the need to update his own website. And someone says, well, why not? Because he understands the function of his website. And the function of his website is so that he can write essays for his own personal use. And I just want to get your thoughts on this for a second. Your website exists to generate leads. Somebody out there who's trying to pay for their kids' college without going broke, that's what you do. And so we wanted to pack your website with value so that more and more people would reach out to you, not just visit the site, but that people would actually fill out the form. And I think I heard you say you're having, between 2 and 4 leads a week now from Google. Can you talk about some of the things that we've helped you to do that have helped to increase the lead volume on your website?
Besides the search optimization, you and your team rebuilt the entire website. I think my original website looked a little bit like Paul Graham's. Yeah, it was dated from 2007. So thank you for doing that. And the graphics just all pop and all that stuff. The search optimization is really one of the big tickets there. And then also ad roll. Ad roll was huge by adding that in there. I didn't have that in my previous website. So I'm getting a lot more clickbacks because of ad roll.
Now, ad roll is a tool that follows people around on the internet. So if you're watching this show and you have a kid, you want your kid to go to college, you go to the website azcollegeplanning.com, and then ad roll, the ads keep following people around. So when they go to different websites, they keep seeing advertisements from your business. That's a powerful tool. Also on your website, we wanted to make sure we gathered objective reviews from real customers. You have real customers that like you. We wanted to gather those objective reviews, put those front center. Also, you offer a free consultation and a free workshop, which is powerful for people that are thinking about hiring you. Very few people in your space offer a free consultation or a free workshop, and you do. And making those buttons prominent there, the red buttons on the site. Talk to us about that. When people reach out to you now, how often is somebody reaching out to you because they're wanting the free consultation or because they want the free workshop? I mean, how often is that the no-brainer that pulls people in?
That's 95% of the time. And anyone who is reaching out to me who is a prospect, they're either asking for information about the free workshops that I host, and those free workshops are typically held at least once a month. They're also asking about the free consultation. And in the free consultation, we talk about their specific needs and come up with a plan on how to save them tens of thousands of dollars off the cost of college. If we look at in-state costs, we're looking at about $35,000 a year. If we're looking at private colleges, we're looking at like $90,000 a year. And what my goal is to help these students get into some really great colleges and get some amazing scholarship packages at colleges that they want to attend and make it less expensive for them to go to an out-of-state private college than it would be for them to go to an in-state college. And that's all done through azcollegeplanning.com.
One thing, again, that we helped you do that I'm going to pull, I've got some notes here of some stuff, is you had so many success stories. There's so many people that you have worked with over the years to help them. And, when I remember doing our 13-point assessment with you, I could immediately visualize the success we were going to have because you weren't a charlatan and you actually offer people real results. And so I was thinking to myself, we've got to get these testimonials and these success stories documented on the website. We've got to create success posters and video testimonials, and we have to gather real proof from real clients about the real results that you really did generate. And I say the word real a lot because there's in a world of shamockery and a world of bogusness and a world of jackassery, there's a lot of people that have bogus offers, bogus claims, bogus solutions, just bogusness. But you have so many success stories. Can you talk to us about how adding those success stories to the site has helped you to increase your growth and amount of success that you've been able to have as a business?
Those are all real videos. And it was very simple to ask, can you make a 1-minute video on how we helped you? And 100% of them all said, yes, I would love to do that. And 100% of them have all sent me referrals. So we're doing some really great things for those families, and we want to do some really great things for your families as well. That was all done through your suggestion. I had on my original website, I had maybe one or two testimonial videos, but with your suggestion, we've got dozens and dozens on there now, and that just shows credibility of all the great things that we've done. Not to boast my toot my own horn and all that, but we are the #1 college planner in Arizona, if not the West Coast. So, and that's all due through the search engine optimization, the ad roll, and the video proof. All of those things are instrumental in helping our growth double and even triple. This last month, we've had the most incredible month that we've had, and that was August. And now September 2024, we're on track to doing the same revenue that we did last month, but probably even more than August. And that just trend seems to continue.
So if you had to describe in kind of 2 sentences or less the impact that having somebody coach you down a proven path has made on your business, how would you maybe describe that?
I would describe that as freedom and income.
So what do you say to somebody who's, I offer free consultations as well as you. So what do you say to somebody who's, they're going to thrivetimeshow.com and they're going, wow, do I schedule a free consultation? Because most people, they go to the testimonials button and they look at thousands of testimonials, which I've gathered methodically since 2005. So they look at it and they go, wow, you guys have so many success stories. Okay. But what would you say to somebody who's on the fence about scheduling a free 13-point consultation with myself?
That's where I started. I scheduled that 13-point consultation because I wanted to know more. And if you want to know more, the only way to know more is by scheduling that consultation. And as I learn more about you from that consultation, as I learn more about you by checking out all the different things that you've done online and watching some of the other video testimonials that you have on your website, I'm like, yeah, this is a positive move. And from there, decided to jump on board, and it's been a great thing.
So let's talk about your business for a second. Final question I have here for you. People out there, busy listeners, I don't want to waste anybody's time, and I don't want to waste your time. So for somebody who goes to azcollegeplanning.com, kind of explain to us how your business model works and how you make money. When people go to azcollegeplanning.com, how do you make money? How does the customer win? Just kind of explain to us the win-win so people can at least conceptually understand what you do for people.
So in the free consultation, and please go to the website, azcollegeplanning.com, click on the contact form there, and I will reach out to you to schedule that free consultation. In that free consultation, I'm going to ask you and your students some questions. And then from there, we're going to come up with a game plan. And when I do talk with you about the free consultation, I will be very, very frank with you and say, yes, I can help you, or no, I can't help you. If I cannot help you, I'll point you in the right direction and say, this is what you need to do. Go and do these things. If I say, yes, I can help you, I already know that if your student follows my proven plan and proven path, I've got a roadmap. Follow this roadmap. And if your student does that, your student is going to receive at least $35,000 in scholarships. And it could be as much as $280,000 in scholarships.
Wow. And again, folks, that's azcollegeplanning.com, azcollegeplanning.com. JD, I really appreciate you joining us, sharing with us about your business, clarifying how to pronounce and spell your name. Thank you so much, sir, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Clay.
Bye-bye. JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Whoa. During the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, 2024. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. Yes, folks, put it in your calendar. This December, the month of Christmas, December 5th and 6th, Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma in the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business growth workshop. Whoa. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Folks, I'm telling you, if you want to learn branding, you want to learn marketing, you want to learn search engine optimization, you want to learn social media marketing, that's what we teach at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop. If you want to learn accounting, you want to learn sales systems, you want to learn how to build a linear workflow, you want to learn how to franchise your business, that is what we teach at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop. Over the years, we've had the opportunity to feature Michael Levine, the PR consultant of choice for Nike, for Prince, for Michael Jackson. We've had the top PR consultant in the history of the planet has spoken at the Thrivetime Show workshops. We've had Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, a company that creates apparel worn by celebrities all throughout the world. Jill Donovan, the founder of RusticCuff.com, has spoken at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshops. We have the man who's responsible for turning around Harley Davidson, a man by the name of Ken Schmidt. He has spoken at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops. Folks, I'm telling you, these events are going to teach you what you need to know to start and grow a successful business. And the way we price the events, the way we do these events, is you can pay $250 for a ticket or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, we've designed these events to be affordable for you, and we want to see you live and in person at the 2-day interactive December 5th and 6th Thrivetime Show Business Workshop. Everything that you need to succeed will be taught at the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Workshop, December 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the way we do these events is we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a question and answer session so that wonderful people like you can have your questions answered. Yes, we teach for 30 minutes, and then we open it up for a 15-minute question and answer session. It's interactive. It's 2 days. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We've been doing these events since 2005, and I'm telling you, folks, it's going to blow your mind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop is America's highest rated and most reviewed business workshop. See the thousands of video testimonials from real people just like you who've been able to build multi-million-dollar companies. Watch those testimonials today at thrivetimeshow.com. Simply by clicking on the testimonials button right there at thrivetimeshow.com, you're going to see thousands of people just like you who've been able to go from just surviving to thriving. Whoa. Each and every day, we're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup, but I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And someone says, Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrivetime Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies. And I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done his show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And so Mr. Clay Clark, he's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hour. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
First of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's
All
a guy
right.
by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, "Have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad?" And I said, "No." And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed, to the business owner, to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you, thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you, thank you, sir, for changing my life.
But not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, "I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this."
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa.